Welcome into another edition of the Countdown to Kickoff. I'm Evan Rogers alongside Taylor Vippolis, and today, Taylor, we are diving in, amongst all the hype and excitement that's coming, with this inaugural year of Bill Belichick. There's some concerns. I mean, there's obvious ones. There's maybe some hidden ones. We're going to go over maybe the biggest ones that we think of. I guess I'll lead it off with you, Taylor. Kind of when you think about this upcoming season, what are some areas that, maybe you see as concerns for the Tar Heels?
Yeah, for me, I would go with offensive line as my biggest concern for this North Carolina team. And I think it was already at a point of concern, but then you get the news over the weekend that Austin Blaske is now going to miss at least the first month of the season. I believe the target goal date for him to get back with that broken foot is around the Clemson game. And with somebody like Austin Blaske, who is Carolina's top offensive lineman, I don't think there's any question about that. His greatest asset was his versatility, where he's able to seamlessly slide between guard and center without that noticeable drop off. And if they have a reliable guard, he goes right in at center, and he can anchor the middle of that offensive line, handle protection calls. But if you do have a strong center emerge, he could kick over to guard and bolster that position. And in a sport like football, with how much things are matchup dependent and how much things are injury dependent, having somebody like Austin Blaske be your top offensive lineman who can excel at multiple positions isn't just a luxury. It's really an advantage for this Bill Belichick team. And the offensive line was already coming in with a lot of question marks, and you're shuffling guys in, you're shuffling guys out, you're taking guys up from the G5 level, you're taking guys from Holy Cross and seeing like, can this guy make the jump up? You have Howard Sampson go to the portal and go to Texas Tech. So Carolina already had a lot of question marks along the offensive line. And I think with somebody like Austin Blaske going down very early in training camp, it adds to those worries. And you're looking at where this Carolina offensive line is at now. You're probably at Banfield, Kelly, King in your interior, which could still be a solid offensive line, but now you're already taking into your depth pieces, and this offensive line doesn't have too much depth to begin with.
Yeah, I think when you think about the offensive line, you mentioned all the pieces they got from the transfer portal, and then you throw into that the players that they had returning outside of a guy like Austin Blaske, you had question marks about. Aiden Banfield, though only a true freshman last year, had his ups and downs. Trey Green on the edge. I mean, he was a guy that at times was unplayable in pass protection. So there's just a lot of question marks when you think about the offensive line, and when you take out a guy like Austin Blaske, who not only, like you said, could be interchangeable along the interior of the line, but he's also a vocal guy in that room. And as much as a vocal presence as you can be off the field, it's not the same than when you're out there playing it, when you're seeing what everyone else is seeing. So that's definitely something that is a concern. I mean, it got exponentially heightened over the weekend, like you said, when the major injury news dropped. And it's something that, I think is really going to continue out throughout the first month of the season. I mean, we know the target date is Clemson, but big men and foot injuries, they don't go together well. So we don't know how long he really could be out.
And with that target date of Clemson, if that's the best case scenario, a glass half full scenario, he makes his season debut against arguably the best defensive front and defensive line in the country, where it's like, okay, you haven't played since last season. Good luck going up against a lot of guys that are getting NFL looks. So yeah, it definitely is a concern. There's a lot of areas that I think you could go to, but offensive line is one that kind of just jumps out of the page with how many unknowns they're going into the season with.
Yeah, another concern, I was thinking of taking this a zoomed in look, but I'm going to go a little macro view, a little zoomed out, and it's something that people have hit on before, but it's the fact that, Bill Belichick has only coached professional athletes before. And when you're in the NFL, you don't have an NCAA, mandated 4 hours a day, 20 hours a week regulation on your athletic related activities or whatever it's worded now. NFL guys, it's their job, it's their life. It's, that's how they pay the next bills. It's how they put food on the table. Whereas college guys, you've got class, you've got social extracurriculars, you've got things of being a college kid. And that's something that is going to take an adjustment? Are the techniques or the schemes that Bill Belichick is used to teaching and used to fortifying at the professional level, are they interchangeable to college athletes? Can they retain that information in a seemingly less amount of time because you're just not getting them for as many hours as you would in the NFL? I think another thing is Bill Belichick has always been known as, this elite coach, this elite developer of talent, and knowing, how to spot talent and make the most of it. When you get to the NFL, anyone who earns a crack at an NFL roster or who makes a 53-man roster, they've got some talent. They're good. Yeah. I mean, they were their best players in college. They were the best players in their conferences. When you get to college, some of these guys, as highly recruited or as highly ranked as they were in high school or as under-recruited as they were in high school, sometimes it just doesn't pan out for various reasons. And that's something that maybe you just can't untap as a coach. You can't coach out of them, essentially. So that's something that, with this experiment, with this first season, it's just how does Bill Belichick kind of maybe adjust to those differences that obviously are going to be, present now in training camp and definitely present throughout the season, and how does he maybe adapt his teaching methods or how he, develops the playbook throughout the year, I guess, are all things that could really just change throughout this season.